So I've heard about Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver here and there over the years, and how it's apparently a great and slightly underappreciated game for the PS1. So I decided to give it a try, and I can definitely see why people like it, but at the same time I can also see why it wasn't super popular at the time it came out. The game takes place after the events of Blood Omen, another game that you can just skip, trust me. The main character is a vampire called Raziel, who is one of the immortal lieutenants of a vampire named Kain, who rules over a great empire. After inadvertently offending Kain by growing a pair of wings and making it seem like he was trying to surpass his master, Kain punished Raziel by casting him into the Lake of the Dead, a never-ending whirlpool of torment where Raziel suffers in agony for an undisclosed amount of time. But because he is technically immortal, the ordeal does not kill him, it merely weakens him, and after a very long time the torment comes to an end, and he finds himself in the Netherrealm. He is awakened by the Elder God, a mysterious entity that wants to use Raziel to carry out his will. Seeking redemption and wanting revenge against Kain for what he did to him, Raziel agrees, and the Elder God guides him out of the Netherrealm. This part serves as the tutorial as well as Raziel getting used to his new form, and the gameplay and story tie together fairly nicely. Once Raziel makes his way back to the real world, though, he finds that centuries have passed since he was cast away, and the Empire is in ruins. The Elder God informs him that because of Kain's refusal to die, the cycle of death cannot continue properly, and so the world is in a state of decay, and so Raziel must make his way through the ruined land of Nosgoth, kill off his former vampiric brethren, and try to prevent this dying world from slipping any further into ruin. The game's story and characters are very unique and interesting. Unlike other games of the time, the voice acting is really solid, with my personal favorite voice coming from Tony Jay, who voiced the Elder God.
And that, Raziel, is the demise of Nosgoth. There is no balance. The souls of the dead remain trapped. I cannot spin them in the wheel of fate. They cannot complete their destinies.
God damn, that guy had an amazing voice. It's such a shame he's no longer with us. The gameplay is best described as a more simple and much darker version of a Zelda game. The combat, exploration, and puzzles are very much the sort of thing you would find in a Zelda game, and yet the game still manages to feel like its own thing rather than a ripoff. The most unique feature about the gameplay is that Raziel is immortal, and so cannot die. This does not mean that he can't get hurt, or that enemies can't hamper your progress, but the way the game handles it is much more creative than other games that simply have a boring game over screen. Raziel has the power to manifest his body in the physical world. However, doing so drains energy from him, and in order to maintain his form he must keep devouring the souls of his enemies. His energy slowly drains away if you do nothing, while it drains quickly if you get hit by enemies. If you run out of energy, Raziel loses his physical manifestation and is cast back into the spirit realm, which looks similar to the normal world, but there are subtle differences. And there are some monsters that only appear in the spirit realm, but not in the real world, and vice versa. Unlike in the real world, your energy replenishes automatically in the spirit world, though the process can be sped up if you devour nearby souls. Once your energy is refilled and you reach a blue circle, you can reappear in the physical world. However, if you are attacked and run out of energy in the spirit world, you'll be sent back to the beginning area. This sounds annoying, but if you're careful it's not too likely to happen, and a series of portals you can unlock make getting back to where you were fairly easy. But the game takes it a step further, as there are some things that can only be done in the spirit world, and other things that can only be done in the real world, so you have to switch back and forth between the two planes in order to solve puzzles and make progress. It reminds me of the Light World and Dark World from A Link to the Past, and it's well implemented here. The game's gothic setting and atmosphere are excellent, and it's rather refreshing to have a game with such a unique premise. The main character isn't exactly a hero, he's really only doing this because he wants revenge, and also because the Elder God won't let him die, and he doesn't have anything better to do. And you aren't trying to save the world, as the world is already in ruin, you're just trying to stop things from getting worse. While you mainly see only monsters, you do see some humans here and there, and there's even a city full of normal people who scream and run away when they see you. It helps make the world feel like a real place, and gives you a sense of how this world works and your place in it. I could have killed the civilians, but I opted to be a nice guy and let them be. The only humans I killed were the ones that had weapons, because, hey, I'm not just gonna let you shoot me with the flamethrower, buddy. The combat can get a bit repetitive, but it's still pretty fun, and manages to make you feel both powerful and weakened at the same time. The overall tone of the game kind of reminds me of Silent Hill, though the atmosphere is less creepy and more just gloomy. But as much as I liked this game, there are two major issues. The first is that it's fairly obvious this game had a rather tight budget, and so feels a bit sparse at times. The stuff that's good is really, really good, but it's also sometimes obvious where they ran out of time or money or something, and so the game ends up feeling not quite as fleshed out as it wanted to be. But that's a fairly minor point, and I could forgive that. The second major issue, however, is one that I cannot ignore. Where is the map? Symphony of the Night, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, I know I ragged on you for sometimes making the way forward unclear, but all is forgiven, because at least you all had the decency to give me a map. Not every game needs a map, but when your game is about exploration and will have you going through labyrinthine ruins and temples, and also make you go back through areas you already went through before, I'm sorry, but you need to give us a map. But as far as I can tell, there is no map. In a game like Symphony of the Night, sure you can get stuck sometimes, but you can also be reasonably sure of exactly where you are and which part of the map you've checked. But that's not the case in Soul Reaver, as you'll often have a hard time telling if you've already checked a room out completely, or even where you are. And the directions aren't exactly helpful. So, this lady says I need to go east. Okay, now which direction is east? The sun is hidden behind this perpetually cloudy and gloomy sky, and I don't have a compass, so how's that supposed to help me? So while the gameplay, story, characters, atmosphere, setting, and premise of the game are all very unique and well done, the lack of any clear direction from the game did annoy me a lot, which watered down my enthusiasm a fair bit. But I still had a pretty good time with this game, and despite its faults, it's still a very unique and well put together experience, and so I would recommend giving it a try if you haven't already. My final score is a 7 out of 10. If it wasn't for the lack of a map, I might have given the game an 8 or maybe even a 9. But I have to grade the game I played, not the game I wish it was. One slightly funny anecdote though, after getting used to the awkward tank controls of games like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, it took me a while to adjust back to the sensible controls of this game because I'd finally gotten accustomed to the stupid tank controls. So that made the first bit of this game harder than it should have been. So what do you think? Have you played this game? If you haven't, go out and play it. While I may have issues with it, it's unique enough that it deserves to be played. And if you have played it, what did you think of it? Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in the comments below. If you like what I do, feel free to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.